As I was walking down the street, a billboard caught my eye. The things that were upon it would make you laugh and cry. The board was torn and tattered from the storm the night before. The wind and rain had done its job, and this is what I saw. Chew chocolate-covered mothballs, they always satisfy. Drink Wrigley Spearmint root beer, it'll never leave you dry. Smoke Coca-Cola cigarettes or know the reason why. Brush your teeth with dial soap and watch the suds go by. As I recovered from my shock, I went upon my way. I hadn't gone but half a block, and what to my dismay, another billboard caught my eye, and like the one before, the wind and rain had done its job, and this is what I saw. Take your next vacation in a brand new Frigidaire. Learn to play piano in your winter underwear. Simonize your baby with a Hershey's candy bar. Texas Oil, the beauty soap, is used by all the stars. Now doctors say that babies shouldn't smoke until they're 3, and people over 35 should bathe in Lipton tea. And if you want the world to be a better place by far, buy a record of the song and smash it with your car. Hey!
Hello. Coca-Cola cigarettes. I mean, what even is that? Doesn't make any sense. You get it. What up, folks? Since you're here, should we do we gotta do it. Meow, 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 meow. All right. So this is going to be like all of the streams, probably a little bit of a silly, but also a serious. The unbearable lightness of being in a Luke stream. On one hand, very serious. On one hand, very silly. On two hands, the sound of one hand clapping. I've also just decided, being sick and things, I'll do it here because I think I'm just going to insert it right now. Oh, I wanted to, before I do that, I'm going to share in general just the community rules because I want to start that way. I also don't know if I can do this, but I'm just going to do it because I think it's funny. I saw this on X this morning, this Larry King thing. So I want to, here, we got to slow it down because I had it going too fast. Norm is great. Here we go.
I'm a deeply closeted gay guy.
No kidding.
Well, I'm not coming out, though.
Wait a minute. What are you revealing here today?
I'm not revealing anything. I'm saying I'm deeply closeted.
Well, that means you're gay.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Why would I say that? I'm deeply closeted.
No, but that means you're very, very gay, but you don't want to come out. You're so closeted.
That I refuse to say I'm gay.
Right.
Exactly.
But doesn't that mean you're gay?
Hey, easy, buddy.
Remember Eternal, Norm? So good. God, that guy's fantastic. All right, you guys can watch me as I do this because two things. Why not? I mean, let's do some promotion right away. This, Inside Incorporated and Aspasia Psyche, whatever. I don't know what her name is. Forgive me. I've been listening to it slowly, but this is part of my problem. Okay, let's remove this for a second. Yeah, we're going to get into some rules. That's all right. That's going to relate to the topic today of like education in the church. What to think or how to think. And what is the relationship between those two? And never shall the two twice must mixed. So I struggle sometimes with podcasts that don't incorporate some silliness. It's probably one of the reasons I do like Rogan, is because I need some humor sometimes. If it's just like 100% serious all the time, that's even part of that is like even debate culture, Christian YouTube, anything that's taking itself too seriously, I don't take seriously. That's probably true on the serious level. Also, I just get bored. I don't like it. I think part of it is that I'm too serious of a person myself. So, I mean, or I can be. This is where I really relate to Chad, and I can start to spiral. Chad, I texted Chad, old Chadrick, the other day. If you're out there, Chadrick, Chad Matthew Alvin the third, the former Chad the blank, which shall not be named, Chad the luchador mask, Chad the girl dad. And I was saying that I think both Chad and I have a little bit of, it's not body dysmorphia, it's like relational dysmorphia. I can get very much in my head about relationships and get too serious. And so podcasts for me are a little bit of a, I don't know if distraction's the right word, but the whole point of this is if they're too serious, I struggle with it. I need a break sometimes. But it's great. It is a really good episode. I'm probably 3/4 of the way through. I've been leaving some comments. I also saw a video about rammed earth, which is what Ethan Kahi. I want to start in the same way that I do a chezi, which Neil Daedalus did our Team America throw up montage. Chezi, because Busatil was making fun of me doing the real guttural we should do that with Ethan Kahi. I was like, why did I even go in here? We are going to community and community rules, and we're laying it out. Look here's the rammed earth ethical building, which a local friend-ish that I don't keep up with. What even is your name? I can see you. The poet, the local Minneapolis poet who was at Northwestuary. Put it in the comments. I can't think of it right now. I can't even think of your name. But he's creating kind of a rammed earth building, I think, right now outside the city. Okay, community settings. Dang it. I forgot that opens another tab. All right. I'll go find it. Sorry. Here we are. Channel guidelines. Welcome to a space to scatter seeds and conserve hospitality. Take some seeds to plant. See? Take some seeds to plant. See what we got there? Is this zoomed in enough? No, let's zoom in. Take some seeds to plant. No name calling, Steelman ideas, Starman persons. Starman, that is I've learned now, people have asked for the reference enough. Angel Eduardo is the one who coined this term Starman. It's just like assume the best in the person, innocent until proven guilty, that kind of stuff. Charity. Try to listen and ask genuine questions, not rhetorical questions necessarily, although sometimes rhetorical questions can be genuine. I would say those two aren't mutually exclusive, but more than you talk, and try not to interrupt. I reserve the right to moot and boot. So I'm saying all that now just to say, yeah, I'm always talking about rules because I've just realized, yes, Chad does have a channel, Chad Matthew Ellman. I've just realized that I'm going to be more careful. I'm going to be more conservative, maybe? Is that the right word? In my online space with who I let on and who I don't let on, partially for my own preferences and sanity, and I don't even think it's comfort. I just think it's, again, I'm learning more about boundaries, internet hygiene, all that stuff. And so if you're annoying in the comments, I'll probably just, or not annoying. If you show a pattern that I discern is just unhealthy and or unwanted, I'm going to probably just mute you or get rid of you. Yeah, like that shit. Official cornism. Muted. I don't care. Like if you say things like I'm nannying, I'm going to fucking put you in timeout. How's that for nannying? Because I don't care anymore. And I don't want to listen to you. Like if you act, here's the thing. I would probably be more gracious with like a robot or AI. Like I read the book Clara and the Sun, or there's a lot of cyberpunk works have to do with consciousness and robots and being conscious and whatever. I think there's a lot of, what is that? There's that cartoon movie about a robot or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Or even I would probably be more gracious with a robot than a human being who's acting like a robot. Because it's like what Jordan Peterson said. If I can anticipate what you're going to say all of the time, and we all have patterns, you know, to some degrees, and it's that Jung thing, you know, sometimes you have ideas, sometimes ideas have you. Yeah, exactly. T-grogging, you know, like if you just say the same stuff all the time, I am either going to ignore you or mute you. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm bored with it. Also, I'm going a little bit into daddy mode, daddy skills. I'm protecting my own internal family system, you know? And I feel like there are intruders in my house that are trying to dominate me and potentially take a dump on my living room floor in my space of internet hospitality. And I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. So sorry, not sorry. Either behave or get out. All right, let's talk about the topic and open it up. Education in the church, how to think, not what to think. So part of this is stemming. So a lot of my witness testimony, intellectual evolution, ways that I approach the world have a lot to do with education, thinking about education. And it goes back to a good friend. I don't even know if I want to say your name, but I have a good friend who I've talked about before. A number you may know. I'm not going to get into too many details. Who I met at a very specific point in my life, and it was great because he was the kind of friend who broadened my imagination, awakened a lot of meaning in me, and while I was engaging with him, I think he's the one who turned me on to Lewis's Ransom trilogy, or the Space trilogy as it's called. And while I was around with him and living with him, we went to church together too. We were in a small group together. He actually came from he was in, I think, a Nazarene background, I think was his background. Anyhow, so a very different church background than I grew up with, although there were at times teetotaling stuff in the, you know, there was like a little Nazarene scent occasionally in the tradition that I grew up with, which was a weird. The church I grew up in was technically, I think, sorry about all the sniffling. I'm getting over a cold too. I think it was technically, man, I'm even forgetting the denomination now. It'll come back to me. But the point is that like wasn't even really that denomination. Why is it? It's multiple words. Why can't I think of it? My brain isn't working. Gross, dude. Yeah. I mean, it's a lovely scent. Resto, Grim Nazarene. Oh, I knew that about you, dog. Dude. All right. So yeah, let's get back on topic. Whatever. So my friend turned me on to the Ransom trilogy, which apparently is what Lewis wanted to be called, not the Space trilogy. But I think commonly people know about it the Space trilogy. So here's the thing: are you going to be stubborn and call it the Ransom trilogy because that's what Lewis wanted, or are you? What's the goal in your communication and your using of words? Accuracy or communicating meaning in a way where they know what you're talking about? Because most commonly, I would say it's known as a Space trilogy. At what point does like common usage overtake authorial intent or even authorial desires? This is one of those things, right? Ransom trilogy, Space trilogy. Which one is it? But I read those books for the first time. It had probably been about 20. Let's take a guess here. Let's take a stab. 2010, maybe, is when I read them for the first time. And I read them all quickly because back then I wasn't really online that much. There wasn't really that much online back then, at least not for me. I wasn't really that online then. So I read a lot more. It's actually when I watched Battlestar Galactica because I rented them from the library. That's when Netflix was like when they still mailed you like the DVDs or the Blu-ray. So that was like the vibe then. So there was more time to read, your attention. Again, and attention has a lot to do with education. So anyhow, I read the Space trilogy for the first time. Mind expanding work. They've always been very central to me, those books. Very formative in the way that I think of a lot of stuff. Like even I was reading Martin Shaw's book and the way that he describes spiritual realities around us all the time. And Rob Bell's book, Everything is Spiritual, and spiritual but not religious, and all those categories, because the Space trilogy, especially that Hideous Strength, is there's a scene where Miss Hargrove, is it Hard? What is it? Miss Hardgrove? What is her name? Hargrove? Is that what it is? Give it to me. Who's you know who I'm talking about? Who's like the police person? The security girl. Miss Hardcastle. Wow, that was way off. Miss Hardcastle. Do you know what I'm talking about? So this is the person I was thinking of. For those that have read the book, she is in. So yeah, nice. I get your wordplay, Nick. Nice. The NICE. Okay. Again, I'm just gonna keep. All right, I banned you for now because like you don't learn. So whatever. I told you I'm not gonna put up with your crap. So Miss Hardcastle, there's a scene where she's the security for the NICE, the National Institute of Coordinated Experiments, which is this group of elite. It's kind of like they're like a government. It's like a scientific government overlap elite class that's connected to university, essentially in England, but it's also like a little bit of a deep state situation. It really is. Like when I read that book, I'm like, this book combined with like 1984 is, because I mean Lewis wrote it. When did he write the Space trilogy? 30s, right? The Space trilogy. When did he write it? 30s and 40s. Yeah, Out of the Silent Planet was 38. Paralandra 43. That Hideous Strength 45. So, nope. Hardcastle, my friend. Hargrove is in there though. There's a different Hargrove in the book. Actually, how do I unban? I don't really want to ban her. I just want to keep muting her until I don't know how to stop it now. Banned and their comments were removed. Does anyone know how to unban someone? I'll have to figure that out. So Claire, go get a different. Here's the thing. I mean, like, go get a different comment or account and come back and be polite, respectful, have some decorum, and maybe, I'm working on it, but also, I want to give people a chance. This is the problem. I want to leave the 99 for the one. I want to be forgiving and loving and gracious as the Heavenly Father is, but also not tolerant of people who insist on their own damnation or unhealthy patterns of being in the world, because that's kind of how God is, and I strive to be as like God as I can, I mean, as his image bearer. I think that's the right thing to do. So read all those books, but yeah, so the spiritual thing, that Miss Hardcastle, early on in, I think, That Hideous Strength, there's this one person who is contested within the nice, I believe, is the situation. I've read these 4 times. I should be able to remember this. And it's like a whistleblower, essentially. And they're leaving the nice and not participating with what's going on because they realize it's bad. And then she murders. I mean, this isn't really a spoiler. So she kills them. And then you see, because of the way that the books are set up, there's all these Eldila, which are like angels, and there's good and bad Eldila. So they're angels and demons. And as she kills the person, as they kill this person, you see all these, the light shifts, and there's these slanted, because when Eldila are around, the light shifts because of the physics of the way the angels work. Is they relate to matter, our matter, as we relate to light. So like their relationship with time and all sorts of stuff is totally different, but they have interactions with us. And so when Eldila show up, it skews the way that the light works. And so all that to say is, like, that's the same thing that's in Martin Shaw's book. Like, we're surrounded by powers and principalities and all these different realms of angels and egregores and sub-spirits. PVK, you're here. You're what were we talking about the other day? We were talking about like sub demons. What was the term? Do you know what I'm talking about? Anyhow. And Christopher Nolan he's kind of budget Lewis. Interstellar's touching on these things too, but he's coming at it from like a Petersonian angle that still has some cachet with like philosophical materialists, people who are spiritual but not religious, but yet they're God haunted, as Peter Rollins likes to say. They're haunted by the ghost of the death of God. The reason people are moved by things like Interstellar and like the Anne Hathaway love speech is because they believe in God. It's just not the God that, it's the tell me about the God you don't believe in. I probably don't believe in him either. They're still God haunted by the God they still believe in, or I think of all these songs. Okay, I'm going to go on a few riffs. Like I Will Follow You Into the Dark, that love song, or like there's a lyric from S. Carey. S. Carey's this musician I really like, who's actually the drummer for Bon Iver, who McMo sampled in his secret Discord chat room, where sometimes he does some DJing. Hey, you're here, bud. And you did a little Bon Iver sample, and I felt loved because I love Bon Iver. And that was cool. But S. Carey is his drummer, and he has a song where he says he prays to a God that he doesn't believe in. I mean, like, what a great lyric to just poetically summarize a kind of post-Christian, ex-evangelical Tom Holland very Christian, God-haunted West. You know what I'm talking about? And then I was going to say, I realized with Ezra on the end of, Ezra, I don't know if you're here, but on the end of, it was on the end of Neil's. I can play that because, I mean, Neil did a new, whatever worldly news thing, right? And at the end of it, Ezra sang a song. Let's play some. Here we go. Look at Neil. What a douchebag. And I mean that with the most love I can muster, Neil. Okay, here we go.
And even musical arts. So tonight, to end the show, we bring you one of our favorite artists from the Grim Grizz channel. I give you Ezra.
Yes, Daddy.
So I think Ezra sounds like a combination of two different musical artists. I already kind of alluded to one. He's like a combination of a couple to me. Although he's got, because like when he was singing, I was like, your voice really reminds me of somebody. And one of them I'm pretty confident about. But so put your guesses in the hive mind. Maybe eliminate Neil. Like he's doing that.
Looking for wisdom, don't bother.
How big Ezra is.
The West is a smothering mother. Sugar and drugs in the water. And our God is a smiling huckster. A market to meet your needs.
Look at his hat, with beanies.
Muscles in atrophy. Medicine for mental health. Self-help.
Oh, please. Can't escape Neil. It's everywhere.
I wanted the key to the door.
All right, we get the idea. Go check out Neil's video. I mean, you get it. But who do we think? Who do we think Ezra sounds like? Daniel Johnston. I don't know who that is. Dude, I'm not. When am I ever orderly? Every stream is like April Fool's Day. I kind of like that. That's actually the tradition. Here, let's talk about that. That's a tradition in Orthodoxy. This came up the other day. Let's share it. Here we go. Holy fools. This is an Orthodox thing. So I'm going to have some confessions here in a little bit, and we're going to talk about the topic. Okay. A holy fool is an Eastern Orthodox ascetic who feigns insanity, acts provocatively, or appears foolish to hide their piety, avoid praise, or deliver harsh truths. These individuals are often considered fools for Christ. They renounce worldly comforts and sometimes walking half naked or homeless to challenge social or religious hypocrisy. Holy fools are sweet. And I think that I was, if I'm any sort of holiness, it's probably a holy fool. And I was exposed to them first, I think, by the book Loris. I love the book Loris. Okay, I got to snore. Okay, we got some more votes. Weezer. I can hear it. I hear some Weezer. Neil Young. Wow. Tallest man on earth. This is a guy I've never got into. You'd think that somebody like me would be into him because he's kind of a indie whatever thing, but I've never gotten into it. Daniel Johnston. I don't know these people. That's who I thought, man. I thought it was Death Cab. What's the guy's name? I forget his name. It's a very Death Cabby. Maybe it's like a rhythm. I don't know. Anyhow, music, and then for whatever reason, I thought Clem Snide. But also, PVK, if you're in here or anybody else who's familiar, like seriously, I want to know how to unban people. Maybe I have to. I don't really know how to do it. Which probably doesn't matter. I probably have to do it in settings. But that's. Anyhow, we'll have to figure it out. Claire, because I really don't want to ban you. That was an accident. I was just wanting to mute you again, but I accidentally hit ban. So sorry. I also don't know who that is. I've heard of that name, but whatever. All right. So education. Let's go all the way back. So we're back to Space Trilogy or Ransom Trilogy, depending on if you want to go to common usage and familiarity or authorial intent, authorial preference. Death of the author or no, right? And I think, but I clicked ban, I think. Well, yeah, you can mute her for 24 hours. That's, oh yeah, Mad Gleams. Yeah, that is his name, right? 30 albums? That's where I'd heard of it. Wow. It actually was an accident. I'm not lying. So the Lewis trilogy, I learned that when I read it, and I was very moved by all of it. I have a special place in my heart for the first one because I think it's really good. There's one of my often quoted Lewis things, which I still haven't gotten nailed down. I think it's on the first page. If I had my copy of the Space Trilogy here, I would go look it up because I think it's on the first page of Out of the Silent Planet. But it is, it talks about the civility of modern man, half of which is virtue and half of which is vice. Paul? We'll go chest lettuce. That's an old callback back to Discord days. Because I used to wear undershirts all the time, and Andrew with the bangs, because it was very deep V-cut. And I don't know what people started calling chest lettuce. I actually have somebody made a meme. I think I've showed this before on a live stream. Let me see if I can find it. I bet I can. Rock. Yeah. This is it. Here we go. The map of rock bottom. See, that's my V-neck. That was me doing some other live stream, or like my undershirt. It's also me without a mustache. And that says, "You are here." The map of rock bottom. So yeah, and then Paralandra. So listen, we have our resident Lewis scholar here. I think Lewis thought that his favorite of the trilogy was Paralandra, I think. And there's parts of Paralandra that are beautiful. It also makes me think of the Divine Dance, which is a great lecture. Dance. Oh no. Who is the guy that does the, oh my gosh, Cosmic Dance? He used to be, there's some lecture on like the Divine Dance. Thank you. In settings, as far as the banning. Okay, I'll figure that out. But there's a lecture on Lewis's Divine. So at the very end of, okay, spoiler. Here's a spoiler for Paralandra. It's just an interesting thing to think about. So Paralandra is like another, it's a alternate Eden story on an alien planet, on the planet Paralandra. And there's a green lady. I've often talked about the story of the green lady and the expectant good versus the actual good, which is evergreen. I mean, that's one of those gifts that just keeps on giving. But Paralandra is kind of the story of how a human being could become. So again, I will reference, this is probably going to be on my Mount Rushmore of Luke Thompson references, but let's look at, see, because like even here, if I just go, I look this up so much that if I just go to my YouTube and it just goes, and I type in Father John Bear Transfigured, it just shows up right away. And Gregory of Nyssa's, this one, on the human image. Okay, and I don't need your stupid commercial. There's a lot of, this is one of the things I reference all the time, but Father Bear talks about experience right here, 48. The experience, I'm just gonna copy the thing and go to 48. There's the link in the comments. Go to 48 minutes, and he talks about experience is fundamental to the foundation of our being as change, transformation, metanoia. So Father Bear, in that conversation, I actually think Father, like most of the things Sam and I are talking past each other on and misunderstanding with each other, is most of the stuff that Father Bear is teaching about most of the time. But he says in there essentially that, like, in some sense, sin, which is missing the mark, right? The bullseye, the bow and arrow, and missing the mark. He said there's a category of sin which is not moral, which is natural and native and part of what it means to be a human being. So, like, becoming. When a child is learning to walk or run or ride a bike, they fall. Guess what that is? Missing the mark. When you are trying to run and you fall on your face and you stumble and you trip and you fall, that's missing the mark of running. So that's amartia, or whatever the Greek word is. I think it's amartia. So he talks about in there. Go watch the thing. Link 48. Watch the whole lecture. It's fantastic. Leave comments. Interact with my comments so that I know you watched it and you have thoughts. That would be great if you watch it. But it is. See, Olson, I mean, how is it not missing the mark? If you're trying to run, I would say the reason you don't see it as missing the mark is because you think of sin missing the mark in exclusively moral categories. And what I'm trying to say is there are aspects of that which are not exclusively moral. This is one of the big differences between the overriding paradigms of the Eastern and the Western Church. The Western Church is very moral, very legalistic, not legalistic, very legislative, judicial, moral. The Eastern Church is like health. They think of things in terms of health and the great physician of our soul, and being and progress. Father Bear talks about that in there, is like that's very native to the Eastern mind. And so, like, I would argue that Eastern Christianity doesn't even have a problem with what I'm talking about at all. Yeah, I don't know what all we're talking about. All right, let's get back to, we're working toward the title, and I'm going to open this up. So the Lewis trilogy, the Green Lady, the Divine Dance, the Cosmic Dance, whatever it's called. God, who's the guy who did that lecture? I can't think of it. It's really good. I would like to know. It's probably true. But that shows, again, so missing the mark, that shows how an Edenic Eve-like character can go through the process of transformation, the process of becoming, the process of growing and changing and metanoia without morally sinning. That's one of the things that Perelandra is, which is a fascinating thing to think about. So that book is fantastic, and there's beautiful parts of it. Like, even there's a part of it where Ransom gets lost in an underwater cave, and he's trapped in this underwater cave, and it's very Dante-esque, and he's blind, and he can't see, and he's blind, and he's fighting the unman, and he's feeling his way around in the dark. I mean, the symbolism is great. And he talks about the voluble self, which I learned that word, voluble, from Lewis, which is like the chatty monkey mind. That voice that's always going on inside your head of like this and this and this and this and this and this and this, you know? And he says he he was learning to quiet the voluble self, the chatty, bubbling self in that book. A lot of great things about that book. That's fantastic. The very end of it, the cosmic dance, which comes after it, is also phenomenal. That's very much how I think it relates a lot to me, almost of the music of the Anneur. It's like the opposite end of the music of the Anneur within the cosmic creation story. The music of the Anneur is the beginning, although it's not really the beginning because it's in and outside of time. This is like one of those koan things that I was talking to my local buddy about. Zach, if you're out there, if you're watching, which I'm sure you're not, this is what we were talking about the other day when we got together and then we're hanging out, is like in the Orthodox liturgy, it says before all ages. What does that mean? It's like the sound of one hand clapping. So an age, an aeon, is like a sequence of time or a duration of time. What is before all ages? Yes, thank you, Peter Kreeft, Cosmic Dance lecture. Yes, there it is. So if you want to check that out, that's what that is. But so like the music of the Anneur it's like the beginning and the middle of end of all creation, because it's like what started it all. But it continues and weaves in through all of it, which is very much like the divine dance and the tapestry, the like multicolored prismatic tapestry that Lewis paints in the cosmic dance. But that hideous strength, we're getting back to education. I realized after I read all those books that hideous strength is basically just like the fictional version of Lewis's Abolition of Man. Sorry, muting. And so then I read Abolition of Man, which is a lot about education. And it got me into reading Douglas Wilson's The Case for Classical Christian Education. Douglas Wilson name drop. And Pastor Paul's redheaded cousin, stepchild. And that was very interesting, and down the line, I got into Dorothy Sayers, got into Simone Weil on attention, eventually, and then, so I read all that. I read a lot of that stuff, got really interested in all that stuff, learned about education, learned about the trivium. At one point tried to start a classical Christian school, went to a lot of different classical Christian schools. And I learned, and I put this in the description, that a lot of classical schools, because again, like even classical Christian, is that a redundancy? What's the point in having both those words in there? What's funny is like, and this is my conversation, Jess, Jeff, you're also out there. Jess, we eventually need to talk about this with Rene Girard and mimesis, and that this is the problem with veiling and unveiling in language, is that eventually, whenever you name something, the name can then be used, the proper naming of a thing then can be used for its bastardization. And this is the Christ and Antichrist or a hair's breadth. Because as soon as you name something, then you can transactionally use that name, and then it can become the thing in name only. That's why we say in name only. So like, and Peter Rollins will talk about this with church. Psychoanalytically, he'll say very often, like, what the church purports to do is actually the Satan, which is promising to make you whole and complete, which is psychoanalytically promising to give you the lack, which is what the Satan does. The Satan deceives, promising to fulfill you with idols that never really satisfy, because whatever promises to fulfill the lack is an idol, and whatever you have a proper relationship with is an icon, which is an image of something, but it's also something leading you further up and further in. And so sometimes you can name a school classical and it's not classical. And so what makes, okay, so now we're getting there. We're getting there to like a church, to even a church. What makes a church a church? What makes education education? Because I would say in America, this is part of it. Part of why I'm thinking about all this stuff again is my oldest is going to be going to college. And so I'm thinking about this. We're we're in the midst of the insolvency and failure of a lot of American educational institutions, in my opinion. I actually got into a conversation with someone from another country the other day, and they were saying that they were saying that some of the best colleges in the world are still in America, and people from other countries will still send people here to get educated. And I'm like, and I honestly think that's going away with AI and the information economy, because I think our educational system got really good at gamifying information for capital purposes. Capitalism, our educational systems basically became training grounds for people to learn the rules of information really well so that you could transactionally use information to make capital. I think that's what American educational systems have primarily been doing for the last, I don't know, since definitely since 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe, for sure. Yes, and this is the point. They're indoctrination centers. They're either educating you on how to make capital, right? How to make money. That's what everybody looks for. Which degrees are going to make me the most money? Parents, like, which degrees are going to provide you an income so that you can provide for your family? Which, again, all those things are good. But if that's an ultimate thing, that's an idol. Like, what is education? Making money? This is like the OG Rose Daniel thing. It's like, do you learn to play guitar because it will make you money, or for the thing in and of itself? Is the act of playing the guitar in and of itself valuable? And if it makes money, that's a good thing. And this is part of the problem of transactionalizing all this. Like, I was listening to Rogan the other day. He had another really great section on, I don't know, it was when he was talking to that Canadian dude, politician guy. What's his name? Pierre, whatever his name is. And he was saying the origins of his podcast again. And he was saying that's kind of what I strive to do with my podcast, although I suck at it compared to Rogan, I think, which is I want to just do what I love and talk to people who I love and who I want to about things that I care about, and let all the rest go. Although I'm going to do it a little bit differently than even my role model Rogan, is that I probably am going to want to engage the trolls and the haters more than he does. He largely doesn't talk about them and completely ghosts them and ignores them and pays no attention to any of it, which is a way you can go about it. And I think that's really cool. But back to Rogan too. So he's saying, so Rogan has the most successful podcast and maybe somewhat like media empire in the world. And he did it by just loving to play guitar. It was never supposed to make money. He didn't give a shit if it made money. And then it ended up making money because it was, and they use the word authenticity. Is that authenticity? Is it following the muse? Is it just doing what you want to do and what you're good at? We talk about that kind of stuff in the corner a lot. Like, PVK will say that. Like, this is when he says he's a bad YouTuber, because he's just like, I just make videos about what I want to make about. And I just talk about what I want to talk about. And a lot of people will criticize him, like, play the whole video. That's not what he's doing. Like, and then he'll reference it a little bit and he'll be like, if you want to see the whole video, it's linked below. Just go watch the whole video. But largely what TLC is, the whole origins of it is PVK clipping and talking about Jordan Peterson. And that's what we'll do a lot, except I just clip and talk about other TLC stuff. Occasionally it'll do other things. It'll be Norm MacDonald. It'll be Rogan. It'll be music. It'll be anything that I'm interested in that I want to talk about. It'll be rammed earth building materials. It'll be eradicating plastics from your wardrobe and from your home so that you don't have microplastics in your water and in your body, so that your taint can stretch back out. Your what's the term? There's a proper way to pronounce this. It's a medical term. Your perineum, isn't it the perineum? What's the technical medical word for your taint? See, that's the thing. I'm going to talk about the Trinity, and then I'm going to talk about your taint. And then I'm going to talk about education, and I'm going to talk about the church. And some people are going to say it's word salad and get to the point. But, you know, what is nutritious? Sometimes you need a little salad, you know? And there are philosophical assumptions behind all of this. Part of why I do live streams the way that I do and streams the way that I do is because this is the way that I want to do it. This is the way that my mind works. I also feel like it is very Terrence Malick, Heideggerian. The medium and the space and the format that I use is kind of whimsical, fool, all over the place, notes from the tilt-a-whirl, because actually a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about substantively, I think you will only get, like, you will only understand it in a 1 Corinthians 8 way, or I believe one of the best ways to come to understand it is through this meandering, indirect, circling, circumambulating, circling big, circling in, very personal mode of communication, anti-communication style. I advocate things like Christian koans and non-dualism, and like Nate was saying the other day, in like the golden age of the Russian philosophers of the 19th century, is they said, when you're approaching truth at its highest level, it's an antinomy. How do you communicate an antinomy? You can't really do it in a binary either or way, or in a straight direct way, because then you'll never see the thing. Because when you focus, part of non-dual thinking and communication and mosaic vision or iconic thinking is that you can't. Well, I suppose that even is the truth of a koan, or even like hesychasm, perhaps, or an icon, is you focus so much on an icon that your focal awareness becomes more than focal. That's what makes it an icon, is because in staring at the image, you lose the image and you see the whole through the image, which is one of the things that the Pierre guy said to Rogan, which I learned this from Rogan because it's the quote from that samurai that he always loves, is like, once you see the way broadly, you'll see it in everything, which is another way of saying Christ, the eternal Tao, which is written by that higher monk Damascene, who was a student and an acolyte of Seraphim Rose and the first American Orthodox. So, I mean, there is that, right? That's the focal thing. When you see it when you see the either or it's like, it's kind of how I describe dualism, right? And you can tell with my ring hand from my other hand, right? And you even see this in chemistry, right? This is like L and R. What do they call them? In biochemistry, you have this, but they're not isomers. They are chiral compounds, which are hand mirror images of each other. But like you can have an L compound, a left-handed compound, and an R compound, a right-handed compound. They're identical, but they're mirror images. And one will have biological efficacy. One will have no biological efficacy, or it will be bad for you biologically. So you see this everywhere. Once you see the way broadly, you'll see it in everything. And so you can have these mirror compounds, but it's like dualism. So in dualism, this is going to get my Trinity stuff. Why I'm obsessed with the Trinity all the time ontologically, and I talk about it, is there are options, right? You can have monism, but like static monism is, I would say it's not even non-dual. It is, you can't even talk about it. Like a pure monad, like think about it in terms of like the Big Bang, the singularity before the Big Bang. If we just, for a thought experiment, just accept that before there was anything, there was just a singularity. Pete Holmes has a great bit on this, by the way, which is kind of a little like a fun little whimsical argument for God. Can I show that without getting? Let's just do it. I feel like doing it. Pete Holmes, God. I think it'll come up if you just do the Pete Holmes. All right, I'm gonna share screen. Here we go. I'm gonna remove the comment, and I think we can do this. Maybe I just have to put these in the.
Some people think God created the universe. Some people think nothing created the universe, which is the funniest guess. And the nothing people make fun of the God people. They say God doesn't exist. I'm like, okay, maybe. But you know what definitely doesn't exist? Nothing. That's the defining characteristic of nothing, is that it doesn't exist. So what are we talking about? Either you think it's God, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove.
A monad.
Or you think it's nothing, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove. But I think we can all agree, if your nothing sometimes spontaneously erupts into everything, that's a pretty goddamn magical fucking nothing, you guys. And ask the nothing people, what happens when you die? They'll tell you, nothing. You go into nothing. I'm like, you mean you merge back with your creator? That's heaven, bitch.
So like, ooh, look at you picking. You're being clever. That's a McMonad. So here's the link. I'm just putting it in here so that I remember to add it later. It's a great little bit. And not only is it a great bit, I like Pete Holmes, okay? I like Pete Holmes. But philosophically, it's legitimate because the singularity, the thing that you can't taste, touch, see, prove scientifically, you're just taking it on faith, and you can see its effects. You see not where the wind blows, you can't see the wind, but you see its effects. The spirit, God is pure spirit, right? It's like the monad before creation. This really gets into deep conversations that PVK and I are having with Sam about like all of the biblical Unitarianism, Trinitarianism stuff, because this is what I say, like even my conversation with David Busatel, I don't know substantively how Sam and I even disagree about Trinitarian stuff. And again, so this is part of the whole education thing. What is in a name? This comes up repeatedly in the Trinity conversations. Is Sam will say, why do we insist on the name Trinity? Is there value in the name Trinity? Is when we say I'm Trinitarian or something is Trinitarian, is it just name only? Is there any there? Is there anything real there? Okay, back. I got to finish the monad thing. So like a monad would just be a single thing that you can't taste, touch, see, prove, or anything. A monad is an all-encompassing thing where there's nothing outside of it. If we're talking like ontologically, a true monad, you can't even talk about. You can't even say anything. There's no context. It's hard to wrap your head around because you know nothing like this. It would be like the atheist wanting to disprove God. It's the same thing as a monad, except God doesn't exist that way, which is one of my beefs with Sam, because I think God is Trinitarian, and so he's not just a single monad. And so this gets into the hard conversations of what are we talking about with all this stuff? Because like Jedediah Pascal would say, he likes the term dynamic monism, because when you say dynamic monism, you're not saying it's not a pure monad. There's dynamism within the monad, which is like a kind of like, and again, is that pantheism or is that panentheism, right? Pantheism a dynamic monism of pantheism would say God is all. And so the monad itself is God and is everything. There is no distinction between God and everything. That's pantheism. Panentheism would say God, everything that is within God, but God is also other than everything that is. So God exists both in and out of everything that you can, of all the stuff Pete Holmes is talking about that you can see, taste, touch, whatever. This is the divine eros, right? Monism. That's a little jokey. So monism is dumb. Static monism is dumb. This is what I'm always talking about. Dualism is like, you could say light and dark, good and evil, yin yang, Tao. But then the whole point of the yin yang is behind the two differences, there is a third uniting whole. That's what the yin yang symbol is, right? What happens if you just search the Tao image? Let's just image search the Tao. What? Oh, shoot. Dang it. Oh, I came back. Look at that. Wow. Now I have a, okay. Stop. Dang it. How do I do this? Do I have to leave? See, look, this is like a, how do I eliminate one of myself? Did I fix that? No, because there's two of me. Stupid. There. Is that working? No, it's not. How do I? Look at this. Is this an error? Is this a mistake? Is this divine? Seriously, I need to figure out how to fix this because I don't know how. I can, if I remove one of them like this, you could still hear the other one, which is annoying. One of me is enough. I don't even like one of me, let alone two of me. Well, the screen went black because I was typing in I didn't open another tab and I typed in Dow. And now I can hear myself even typing. How annoying. Okay. And I can hear myself snort. Now I know what it's like to be you guys. This is stupid. What happens? If there's two of me in here, how do I stop it? Okay, I'll be back. What if I just play branding and then close the whole thing and come back? That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, here we go. What's a longer thing? Let's do one about narcissism.
At which time I shall reveal that I have ne'er, as a long-term ship and flotilla member of the TLC, I have ne'er ever felt so clickbaited as to have the screen reveal to me three of the most difficult people in the TLC to submit. If Ian Campbell was replaced with a digital know-it-all, then it would be the top four.
Look at that. I figured it out. Also, the viewers dropped a lot because that's, again, steep slope, thinning the herd. We're culling the herd. All right, I'm sorry. Back to so we did the Pete Holmes. I was talking about dualism, right? The Tao, and I looked it up on the wrong dumb screen. Here we go. We're coming back. I'm going to open this up pretty soon. I've already been talking for an hour. This is flipping ridiculous. So, right, the Tao. This is, and it also is, right? This is the, this is the thing about Taoism, right? Is the Tao that can be named is not the real Tao. This is where Christianity, I think, and especially Trinitarian Christianity, is different than the non-dualism of Taoism or the East. Even within Eastern Christianity, is because the Tao that can be named is the real Tao. Starting with Jesus, the fullness of the Tao, the monad, the inexpressible monad, God, the Father. We're talking about monarchical Trinitarianism here, not egalitarian Trinitarianism, which I also, like Sam, thinks is dumb. And I've told Sam many times, please stop arguing against egalitarian Trinitarianism, even though there's a lot of egalitarian Trinitarians out there. Like, no, I mean, if anyone knows of like a smart academic egalitarian Trinitarian, please let me know, because I don't. It makes zero sense to me. I think Nate, if he were here, could steelman egalitarian Trinitarianism. Anyhow, so like the Tao that can't be named is named. You know, you think you can know the Father through the searching of the Scriptures, but it's they that teach about me. I and the Father are one. Not identical, not the same thing, because that's stupid, because the Son can't be the Father, but in a sense, the Son is the Father. The seed of the Father creates the Son, or in the Trinitarian case, isn't created, is eternally begotten, right? That's the doctrine. But it is the fullness. So like in the panentheism, where like the monad, everything that is, but God is also outside of that, and more than that. The crazy thing about Trinitarianism is, in a very particular, personal, historic way, God fully manifested in a human being. So a human being as the fullness of God, both all of creation and outside of it, is in a human being. That's what Trinitarianism is saying, I believe. So so egalitarian Trinitarianism, I'm probably breaking my own rule of steel manning it. Let's see if let's see if they oh, they can't do this. What up? That's me interacting with my eldest daughter, who's oh yeah. People can hear your voice. What's the proper term? Your styling? I had to get the right term. I was like, you're not flossing, it's not your swag, it's not your drip, it's her fit. She's got a nice fit on. A nice fit? A fire fit. Fire fit. Okay, we're looking at, okay, this is what, because I'm not good at explaining things, really. I'm not. So I probably am, but that also goes part of me. So like monarchical Trinitarianism, often associated with Eastern Orthodoxy, emphasizes the Father as the sole source, root, or monarch of the Trinity. While egalitarian Trinitarianism, social Trinitarianism, stresses the absolute equality and mutual indwelling perichoresis of the three persons without prioritizing one as the origin. Now, I would say the East has perichoresis too, but it also doesn't deny the Father as being ontologically primary, but coterminous. So like there's no time equality. The Father isn't greater in a sense. This gets into like all very technical things, but it's, to me, why I like monarchical Trinitarianism is it because it makes the names actually, Father, Son, and Spirit actually mean something. They're actually equating difference. So you have unity and difference within monarchical Trinitarianism. I think for me, within egalitarian Trinitarianism, you call like Father, Son, and Spirit, but you're like, what's the difference? You know, outside of the name, again, name only, I don't know. Like, what is the actual difference? Does the difference matter? I think difference within the Trinity matters because it's how you harmonize unity and multiplicity. The monarchy of the Father, rooted in the Cappadocian Fathers, holds that the Son is eternally begotten, and the Spirit proceeds from the Father, spiration from the Father. See, again, like this is part of the problem, is we put words on things, and it's like, what do the words mean? This is the whole meaning crisis, No subordinationism. So there are two senses of God. This is one of Sam's big things with two senses of God, right? What do you mean by God? Is it just an adjective, like divine? Or when you say God, do you mean the Father? Again, that monad that you can't see, touch, taste, feel, anything. The thing before everything that gave rise to everything, and not within time, but that's the whole eternally begotten thing. You love my Trinity talking. Then my daughter comes walking through and she's just like, ew, your Trinity is, when you talk about the Trinity, it's so ew. It's so disgusting. Ew. Yeah, I agree, Mark. The same, you can come in here and you tell me about it if you have time when I get done with this. But again, yeah, and in a marriage, it's all fractally the same. In a family, father and son, there's a unity to a family. Like a family is what you could call a trinity. Nate has talked about this a lot. Pretty obviously, father, son, child seems to be somewhat Trinitarian. Chezi, you can come in here and give, like, this is another thing too. I don't know where like Kabbalistic Judaism really differs from Christianity, except within Christianity, we say within, again, that panentheism thing, the fullness of God is expressed in a human being, and that Jesus Christ is that Messiah and all the Messiahs. That's the David Busatil thing. I think that's the difference. And you would say, no, you still keep God as I don't know the difference. Separate, because that is he's outside, but never quite fully present. I don't know. So anyhow, that's all. Let's get back to talking about education, because I got to fulfill on education, then open up the stream. So, okay, I'm gonna play more branding because I have people here talking and doing other stuff. Let's go. Let's do this one, Sam. This one's important, and it is more of my narcissism.
Over time, the more I interact with you, the more I realize you've been right this whole time. Not always, but sometimes.
Oh, Sam! I love you too.
I also know how to push your buttons, but.
All right. What else can I talk about? If I had another clip queued up. Okay, education. So this is what I'm thinking about as my oldest is going to school. Is like, I want him to go to a place where you actually get educated, where you're not just like indoctrinated, where you're not just told merely. This is one of the biggest ways that I always heard initially to describe classical education, or I would describe it to other people. You're not told. I used to say you're not told what to think, you're taught how to think. I would probably say it a little differently now. I would say you're not merely told what to think. Because within the grammar phase, the early elementary phase of education, you are told what to think. But then part of education is that you learn, and I've talked about this a lot, you learn, so grammar, you learn just a lot of facts and information. You learn tons of information. And you have sing-songy stuff and dance. And you're just like, yay, A, B, C, D. You do all that. And then, have a good day. Goodbye. And then you learn the logic phase. You learn all the rules of debate. Like Claire would love the logic phase. Let's just stay here forever. Just debate mode. It's like that robot game where the ball comes out in the middle and there's 4 robots on each side, and you just try to grab the ball. You know what I'm talking about? Hungry Hippos? Is that Hungry Hippos? But isn't there? Yeah. That's not robots at all. It's hippos. But then you move grammar, logic. That's like middle school. So kids want to argue. Let's teach them how to argue. And then you move on to the rhetoric or the poetic or the persuasive phase, where you need to learn about communication and your audience and who you're talking to. And you need to know intuitively and even perhaps even unconsciously, although it's probably better to even know it consciously, that what you see and hear depends a lot upon where you're standing and the kind of person you are. So if you want to be persuasive and be skilled in the areas of rhetoric, you probably should know your audience and the kind of things that are valuable to them. Or you could be a Bible thumper, or you could be a debate thumper, or you could be a whatever thumper. You could be like Bambi, right? Thumper. What are we? Thumper, right? Wasn't he slamming his foot? I'll clean my table later. Yeah, well, I hope you're not really, like, there's nothing wrong with loving the Bible, but Bible thumper means that you're just like, it probably means that you're like a rationalist biblicist, which I would say isn't biblical. That's the irony. Who said this recently? Someone in a stream somewhere said, oh, it was Mitch, I think on Almond Tree. Let's go find that clip. Almond Tree, you still here? You still here, my boy? My boy! Down to clown. Let's share. I'm pretty sure. Wasn't that it? I think he said, like, but this is something I've talked about a lot. You follow something all the way down, and I didn't finish it. Did I leave it? Okay, let's see if this is it.
So there is a logic to explain the resurrection, but the point is that logic, along with any other argument you mount, will, if chased far enough, fray out at the end and become meaningless.
Totally agree, Mitch. Chef's kiss. Jess P calls that the U-shaped journey. This is something we talked about a long time ago. This is like follow any internally coherent system, and maybe this is a little different than an internally coherent system, like logic or rationality. You follow it all the way down to its death and resurrection, and you'll realize, because that's the death and resurrection, that's the U-shaped journey. You follow it all the way down and you realize, oh, rationality is embedded in non-rationality. And that's like the whole non-dualism stuff. So all that to say is, like, that's what I want out of an educational system. I don't want an indoctrination center of any ideological tribe, political right or left, political utopianism, Christianity as an ideology. I don't want that. I don't want any of those. Like, I want to go to a place where there's true educational pluralism, perhaps. Now, again, one might argue that has to be rooted in a Christian ethos, in a Christian culture, because that's what allows for unity and multiplicity. Now, people may disagree with that. I don't know. Chezi, who's still here, may say Judaism can do that too. That's part of what they're doing with Noahide stuff. Anyhow, let's talk about education. Let's open this up. I've talked enough. This is ridiculous. This is redonkulous. And I will do more branding while I go and pen this. Again, remember the rules. And if you can't play nice, not even play nice, if you can't have proper decorum and follow the rules, where it's like, I don't want to do debate culture. Doesn't mean we can't say hard things. It doesn't mean we can't have opponent processing, but it has to be in a space of good faith. And that's a hard thing to navigate. And you have to have personalist knowing to navigate good faith, because you have to know the other person and you have to be mirroring and resonating with them to know what both people need in the dialogos. All right, I'm opening this up and I'm going to look at comments, I guess, as people come into play, maybe. And, I got to go pin it, too. Pin it. Okay, I'm gonna do branding. What are we gonna do? More narcissism? Did I do less narciss? Let's do more. All my clips are narcissism.
Someone like me has to give you. It's kind of there's David and Samson again. Do I need to give you permission, Luke Thompson, to have different modalities? No, that's absurd. I need to realize that I was the one that misunderstood. You were already operating in that space, and I am lower than. And I didn't see from my lower position on the mountain. I didn't see the other dimensions of what was happening higher up.
Yeah, the TLC would work so much better if people always just realize when they don't understand me, I'm just higher up the mountain. Yeah. I'm in the clouds, and you guys just don't get it. Eventually, you'll get it. That's kind of a joke, but it's also not a joke because I often feel that way because I'm an asshole. Hi, little pucker. All right. So listen, come in and play. I'm gonna do this for 40 minutes. Let's say that. What? Yeah. So Scott, you said this. Do you Tinkerbell? You put that way of thinking into your child? I think so. I try to model it, although I'm never perfect at it, and I'm inconsistent. And my wife actually has a name for it. She calls it my bobbleheadiness. Like when I start to get self-righteous and think I know everything, I get bobbleheady. Well, and I think my son can get into that mode sometimes, but that's because he's of the age, people when they're late stage teenagers and 20-year-old, I mean, can you tell them anything, right? I mean, they know everything. But I mean, I think he has some degree of humility. But then you said I wanted to find your other. Let's see what Mark has to say, because Scott, you said right after this, which I think is very true, is sometimes you can just get a little feedback. Mark, I don't know what's going on with that.
I'm on mute.
Sometimes.
Well, I'm not now, but
yeah, okay. I lost the comment. Yeah. If allowing him to be subject could drive his learning despite the corrupt system. True. All right, go ahead.
Something Yoav said in a conversation with Neil Daedalus.
Great conversation.
Neil asked him a question, and Yoav had this just beautiful reply. He said, 20-year-olds are a bit young to take advice.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's probably part of the that's probably part of the it's part of the nature of things. I mean, I think that's kind of baked in. It's designed that way. Like 20-year-olds need to be kind of brave and brazen and bullheaded because that's what gets them out in the world a little bit,
Yeah. And also when I was talking to Neil about Daedalus and damn it, what's the guy with the wings who flew too close to the sun?
Oh, yeah.
Love you, Peter Penrose. Sorry?
I know what you're talking about.
Or that guy. It's like you give a set of wings to a young man, they're going to fly too close to the sun.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, look. You're too
Icarus.
late.
There we go.
Too late. Brett, get in here. Brett's apparently.
Yeah, get in here. We can compare beards again.
I'm too. Yeah. Sometimes I need to do that. I've realized this is like the clip that I just played from Matt C. Is. This is going to be my primary. This is the primary unplanned, chaotic. There's a pattern, but not really hyper predictable pattern of my streams is monologues, because that's how they started. Is I'm just diarrheaing. I'm just doing diary out loud where other people can watch.
Are those words connected?
Diary and diarying? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Etymology of diary. Diarium, meaning daily allowance of food or pay, which evolved into daily journal, derived from the word for day, dice, rooted in the Proto-European diu, to shine. Daily record or allowance is what it means. I mean, what is diarrheas? Diarrhea etymology. A flowing through. Combination of dia, through, and rain, to flow. Oh, sorry, Scott. I didn't even see you. Yeah, there is definitely, my monologues are definitely a flowing through. I mean, Mitch, I played you in a clip.
You summoned me. Last night I had a dream. I never have dreams about famous people. Maybe it's happened twice. But last night in my dream, I was Sir Anthony Hopkins was there, and I was taking his class on film, where he was screening a film for us, and there was a big flashing light. And he's old. He's like pushing 90 or something, and so it bothered him. And he's like, "Excuse me, I have to step out." And I was gonna go and see about him. You know, I was the teacher's pet, I guess. And while I was in there, kind of giving him some water and stuff, and he was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Mitch." And he's like, "Tell me what you're interested in." And all of a sudden, I heard and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell him about Christian nihilism, obviously." All of a sudden, I heard a big Velcro strap, like being pulled, and I woke up. My wife wears this arm brace. She's very pregnant, and her hand gets numb, and that's supposed to help. But she had like pulled it, and it woke me up right before I could tell Anthony Hopkins all about Christian nihilism.
I mean, are you divorced now?
No, but she apologized. You know, I was like, "There's nothing you could do about it." She had no idea. It was just a dream. But I think, I just wanted to add always, to throw the wrench in the thing. While I do believe in the inherently contradictory nature of reality and that everything frays out at the end, and the intellectually honest person will always conclude nihilism, I think that the response to that is like back to like basic vanilla, I guess, dualism. Like I think it's like, if you can acknowledge that, but then say, as far as I'm concerned, there is a good and a bad, and I have to believe that I can recognize it and name it what it is. I have to believe that God can reveal things to me and that I can understand them, at least insofar as that I can act on them and be obedient to them. Right. And so it does kind of like practically become this very normal, like Bible thumping almost kind of thing. Like, this is the revelation I've been given, and here's what it is. And I think the leaders are people that are willing to, say things definitively and just ignore that sort of meta thing. Because once you eat the fruit, you can't go back. But you've eaten the fruit, you've seen things from up above, and you're looking down at it like that, and you're knowing that it frays out at the end. But then you start behaving like in almost a one-track way, and then you take the hits of people saying, "Don't you get all this deconstructive stuff that can also happen? Don't you realize that?" And you just kind of take the hit because you got to be a leader of men or a leader of your family or whatever it is, and you just got to lose for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I suppose it's not a and that's where I agree with what you're saying, more of the traditional embodied practical leader in any context, because you have to judge and make decisions to live life, whether it's in a family or a church or anything else. I mean, it's impractical for me to sit around with my kids all the time talking about non-dualism, because like they're just like, all right, as my daughter said to me once, like as I was talking to her about something, she's like, "Okay, Papa, but like, what do I do?"
Yeah, my favorite song lyric, "Me Without You," abide in me and I in you, but what exactly should I do?
Yeah, so I affirm all of that. I think it's really true. It's more just like you keep, and I think non-dualism would affirm that. Non-dualism affirms the truth in dualism. Of course it does. It has to. But I think when someone then is going through, this is the personal aspect of it. When someone's the problem I have, I suppose, is that when someone is at the place where they are going through the kind of deconstruction where the answers no longer work, if you continue just insisting on the answers and you're just like the gospel of just try harder, well, I'm just like, well, that's dumb. At that point, that's dumb.
So what is it that you do instead? Because, I'm finding Christian nihilism is hitting a practical wall in terms of it's helped me very personally, but I can't communicate it to other people in a way that it would seem to help them. Maybe that's because I have a very clear idea of what it would mean for it to help them. But like if somebody's going through that and you're saying, okay, well, I'm not gonna thump Bible at you or do gospel and try harder, but like, well, what am I gonna do? Am I just gonna get down there and be like, just empathize, just like, yeah, of course, like I've also deconstructed this and but still, now what? The now what always kind of comes back to the same place for me, which is the Bible thump and the try hard. I mean, the behave.
Right. Yeah. It's so I'm gonna put. Go ahead, Mark.
An idea I want you guys to ponder. If the universe was perfect, we would all be robots.
Give me the perfection. I want it. I'll take it.
Depends what you mean by perfect. Yeah.
You'll be a robot. And so to give us free will, there has to be that choice. You can't have a perfect universe and free will at the same time. It doesn't work.
Or you could say it's like the monad. Like the monad is perfect because there's no difference. There's no distinction. There's no.
Hey, monad. Ooh, monad. Yeah, I'll just leave it there for now. I mean, this is why the Trinity has to exist. It's because you can't have free will in a perfect universe. Therefore, the Trinity is necessary.
If the Trinity exists, you can have free will in a perfect universe, because the Trinity thing is self-contradictory. Also, there's some kind of bridged gap between contradictions that, in the limited perspective, we can't fully appreciate.
Well, it's the thing.
We can fully appreciate it.
I don't even think. I really don't even think it's a contradiction. It's. This is why I talk about persons so much. It's an infinite fount of being. That's what the Trinity is in all those relationships. Like a person, you can't ever encapsulate a person, because a person is being and becoming, and change is just like built into it. And so, like, if you try to, yeah, I mean, I lost my.
Well, the one person is the cake, and the three persons is eating it too, right? Is it one or three?
Well, I don't know. One of the things about, yeah, and faith isn't math too. One of the things about the Trinity that I'm not quite comfortable with is like, and this is a big aside, like sometimes it becomes so abstract it's not useful, and that's like part of Chad's point, I think. But like talking about God the Father as a person, or even the Spirit, really doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's pretty clear to me Christ is a person.
Can I give an example of the Trinity that might help people understand it?
Yes, but you will be called a heretic.
Probably.
I don't care. I don't have a church.
I didn't figure.
I'm a heretic to every church. It's fine. So imagine you got Village A and Village B, and they keep fighting each other, and they keep stealing crops, and they keep stealing women, and blah blah blah, and just making a mess of things. That's a duality. Now you imagine you have a third village, and the third village says to this village, if you attack them, we're going to side with them such that you lose. And it says to this village, if you attack them, we're going to side with them and you'll lose. And then suddenly everything comes into balance. That's the essence of the Trinity. That's how it works on an atomic level. You have electron, neutron, proton. The electron dances around, ensuring that the nucleus stays intact. That's the essence of the Trinity.
And Mark has writings on this that he would probably share with you if you're interested. I think you shared them with me at one point, a long time ago.
Yeah, I kind of put to bed that attempt at a book, but I could resurrect it, I guess. I'm doing a Substack where I'm touching on the Trinity, but I haven't dived into it yet.
Okay, Ian, I know you want to talk, and I want to get to what you and Scott have to say, but I'd also say, like, the question that I want to still get to and get your guys' thoughts on too is like, what is the relationship between teaching how to think and what to think, both as it relates to education and spiritual formation in religious institutions?
Can I jump? I feel like Scott was here first. I just have to go, so I'll just talk really quick, and then I I wanted to jump in on that topic. I think, Luke, I really enjoy this topic a lot. I was thinking, even as it relates to the Trinitarian aspect of this conversation, that mystery is maybe the key or something like that. So you were talking about Christianity and the ideology of Christianity not being sufficient or something. Like, you don't want to have an educational system that just teaches Christianity to people as an ideology. But then you also were saying, like, you'd want it to be pluralistic. And so you'd want to have all of these things taught, that could be taught, but not in an ideological way. And I think the key is Christianity, like any other religion or ism, is one of those things where we think that we see reality truly as we understand it currently, and that to me would be the absence of mystery. There is no more mystery. There's no more growth, development, becoming, because we already see clearly. And like, even the Apostle Paul says, we see through a glass darkly or dimly, like that. One day we will see, but not right now. And so the idea there for me is like, you want to keep coming back and keep looking and keep turning things over and have mystery be a part of your life. And as it relates to education, I would say mystery is not something you can educate in the sense of this is what mystery is, and this is how it works, and this is how we define it, but rather, like, it's something that you continue to participate with. And so that would be like a little bit more along the lines of learning how to think, so that you can relate to mystery rather than certainty, which cuts off that growth edge. So when it comes to Christianity, I know a lot of Christians are uncomfortable with other people's ideas or other ways of thinking about things because they're not Christian, aka they're wrong. And so that is tricky, because then there's no need to continually think or participate or contemplate, because there's no more mystery. There's no growth edge to that. And so that was my contribution. I think as it relates to the Trinity, it's like, I'm really bad on the Trinity, like theologically, the significance of it. I think it's really beautiful, but that doesn't get you very far in like doctrinal debates or anything. So I love when you talk to Sam and you're like, yeah, it's pretty much what I think, because I think Sam gets stuck on the definitional certainty side of things, and he can certainly say, this is why he doesn't believe that these words mean this doctrine. And then other people are like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but I know that I'm supposed to think that, I'm certain about the Trinity being real or whatever. But I think that there's a mystery there. Dallas Willard says, like, the universe and God are too one to be many, but too many to be one. And I think that is that what antimony is? Like, not harmony, but opposition?
I mean, I think antimony are just like you could think of it as like a resonance, or it's like two poles. That's why I like Rupert Sheldrake's stuff so much. It's like a battery, a field. You have like a cathode and an anode, positive and a negative. And that's what makes the magnetic field of the battery.
Yeah.
So that's an antimony.
And magnetic fields have like a flow and like a direction to them, but they don't have necessarily it'd be very difficult to like locate like where's the magnetic field. You can locate the boundaries, but there's lots of area that something like that is covering.
Right, or it's a
but also,
relationship. It's like a relationship too, because you can say like this is the positive, this is the negative. But if you eliminated them, if you separated them too much or something, they're like there isn't a battery,
Yes.
there isn't anything.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And I think that's a good place for me to stop. I got to go. Thank you. This was really good. And I'll keep listening.
So yeah, thanks, buddy. Part of that is like, this is part of the struggle. And even like Sam and I in our ongoing conversations, what we've talked about is Sam said that one of the things he needs to emphasize more rather than just like tearing down the Trinity with facts and logic is really his ultimate goal is reconciliation of the church and wanting to be part of the discussion and the issue. And I think like even Brett, your question, like the reason why is it such a big problem? Because there are people, and this is what I've realized from knowing Sam, there are good faith people like Sam who is initiated and comes through a tradition where he does not affirm that doctrine, and that puts him outside of communion. That puts him outside of the pale. There are people in TLC, like people don't remember from the early days of TLC, there were a lot of people who would not even talk to Sam. Like Sam is considered like an OG and okay, and everybody knows him and loves him now. It was not that way in the early days of the TLC. Like I could list specific people who very directly tried to undercut him and eliminate him and get him removed. And like, so like, that's part of the problem. And so like, this is why we talk about it. Honestly, I don't even care about the doctrine per se that much. It's the thing behind the thing. I care about like, what is it doing? And why is that important? And is it doing something substantive? Like I care about the spirit of the conversation a whole lot. And like I was saying to Sam too, maybe this will prompt something, and Scott, you can go wherever you want with it. But like I was saying in Orthodoxy, like if you listen to PDK's conversation with Nathan Jacobs, and I think this is true, in as much as I understand it, like obviously I can't speak as an authority from within Orthodoxy because like I'm just a guy and a convert at that. And I've realized not a very good practicing one at that. So like a lot of what Orthodoxy is it's very ritual and procedural and body oriented. So it's like the body of the church. And when you come at Orthodoxy from like a confessional standpoint, you just want to understand it. So that's what I was trying to say to Sam. Like even if you want to argue with Orthodox people about the doctrine of the Trinity from outside of participation within the Orthodox Church, they're not going to care. They are not submitted to rational arguments. They are submitted to the church. And if you're coming from outside of the practice of the church, it's gonna have zero effect. They just won't care. But then Sam will say, well, like, what about if and when they were wrong? And historically they were wrong. Like point to Maximus or point to whatever. I would say then my understanding is what you do is you don't stand outside confessionally. And in that sense, you are technically a heretic. You participate with the life of the body of the church, and you hold to your conscience while participating to whatever degree you can while holding to your conscience, and you live your life and you die. Either you die of old age or they kill you as a heretic or whatever. That's the kind of fidelity that you were called to, I think. And that's what Maximus did. And that's hard too, because it's not just like what is the church? What is fidelity to the church? Is it Orthodox? Is it Catholic? Is it Oriental Orthodox? You know, like these are all complicated questions, but I'm just saying like the mere rational arguments in and of themselves aren't going to work with Orthodoxy, but yet in some sense they're going to have to, because that kind of Protestant mindset has overtaken the whole world. So even like modern converts to Orthodoxy think that way. You know, they think about these things confessionally. But like for the bishops in the Orthodox Church, it just isn't going to matter. They're going to say, okay, fine. We are just doing what we've been given, what we've inherited. That's the whole Apostolic Succession thing.
I don't know if I got much to add to the Trinity. I often think of the Trinity as something we will never be able to get our heads totally around. Much like, have you ever seen the difference between 2D and 3D, and how the perspective of the 2D won't see anything other than a line? I kind of feel like we're only getting the shadows of this higher dimensionality, and the seeds are there in the gospel, but it doesn't expound in it, so I don't know. The reason why I was kind of going on this was because of the education piece, because I'm in a similar situation. My son's 20 and not yet in college, and he's hit some roadblocks, and so this is an important thing for me. But I've kind of, one of the first things I said when our son was born to my wife was like, loving him wasn't going to be the issue. It was going to be letting him go, to live his own life and do the things, and to, make the mistakes. But
Yeah.
in terms of the education piece, I'm wondering how far you want to go. Like when I listen to who is it? Daniel? No. Jordan Hall and Annie talk about like just restructuring it all the way from the bottom. Are you guys willing to go that far in your pursuit of training the mind?
I mean,
I don't know that I don't know that me guiding my son in that direction would, you know what I mean? Like, okay, great, you got the mind now. I mean, could he use that in a corporate type of capitalistic driven? Probably. But is he going to use it to the ultimate fulfilling of his soul? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, right. And that's what I think proper education should be, is you should create lovers. You should create people who love what they're doing, love people. I mean, that's like the ultimate aim, I think, of all education is love. And
Can I interrupt, Luke?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the school system is a little bit designed to educate the body in terms of sports and blah, blah, blah. But it's mostly focused on educating the mind. And it's really our hearts that need educating, because we don't get any. We're just, you know what I mean? And so I think parents need to focus more on allowing a child's heart to not be impeded in its growth, to just give it the space to grow naturally.
I like that. I wouldn't argue with that at all.
So I think Luke and I are in agreement here. We just phrase it differently.
Well, and I think what's hard about education, like this is part of why I love Rollins so much, and because it's just so deep in me. I realize I fail at this all the time, because I'll talk about the libido pursuit of the lack, and like in talking about it, I'm doing it. Like I'm doing the very thing. It's a very Roman 7 thing. Like I'm pursuing the lack and trying to explain to people the libido pursuit of the lack. Like this is how confusing human beings can be. And why we trip and fall and sin all the time is because we deceive ourselves. But like I've tried, like even starting a classical school. Sorry, Mitch, if you needed to, I heard you want to talk. In trying, tried to start a classical school, like, and even like what Annie, I feel like I've tried to I'm not against someone wanting to start a small scale thing where they're teaching their kids classically and trying to raise them up in the way that they should go to the best of their ability. Of course, do that. I think that's what everybody tries to do. But like almost what you were talking about, Scott, in a very simple way, is like you might do that really well where your kids navigate that just right, and they have the exact kind of right kind of temperament, and you have all the right gardening around them to get them to the best that you could even hope and dream for, to be the kind of adult that you want them to be. But also they might grow up and be like an elder brother in the prodigal story, you know, where they're doing all the right things for all the wrong reasons. Or you might create somebody that's very rebellious because they have a just certain kind of temperament, and you may have to let them go that way, and they may go off and end up in the pigsty, and you just like gotta. So like there isn't, because that's the heart of transactionalism, right? And mammon is like, if I just do this, then I will get this result. Right? That's the libidinal pursuit of the lack and transactions. If I just do this with my kid, if I just get him in the right classical school or whatever, then this. I mean,
you said something there, Luke. Well, two things actually. If this, then this. So that's like logical. But you also said, if I do this, then my children will become who I want them to be. That's never going to happen. You want them to become who they are. There's this,
and we're blind to that, especially as parents. Our love for them, it blinds us, kind of like somebody who's blindly in love with a toxic. You know, they just can't
see it.
They can't see it. Yeah, and our love for our kids is similar to that. Like, I look back on my son, you know, and I feel almost sheepish that I wasn't able to recognize who he's becoming even when he was younger, because it seems so obvious now looking back, you know, but we were taking a guess, you know. You know, and what I don't want to do is I mean, as a parent, like, and I'm not suggesting at all that you're doing this, but I've kind of come to the idea that I have to trust in the one who loves him more than me, that he's going to guide him in the right direction. And if I try to meddle too much, right, that's how you get that prodigal son, or the oldest in that, you know, is me not trusting enough in the process that has already been in place for all of humankind. Right, that he's going to guide him and reach out to him and put him in the place that he needs to be. I know that probably comes off very Calvinist. I've been accused of that.
Actually, really, really good. I have something of like a counterpoint to that, even though like I just totally agree with that. But the way my other hand was appearing, on the other hand, is that if you, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, there's got to be a trust. On the other hand, it's like, if you have the good fortune to have belief in any of the many splendored ways that belief can come to you, if you know that you know something, never minding for a second why you know it, because get that belief to people basically however you can, because you've got like the truth. I mean, if you believe something, you have to protect it, because there's no taking belief for granted. And if the belief is begetting the behavior that's begetting the life and the love, I mean, that could be taken from you. I mean, when you believe something, anything that you believe, like, none of it's doubt proof, and like doubt can actually erode what you believe. It actually is a danger to what you believe. To the extent that you want to exercise that as a means to concretizing your belief, well, that's one thing. But I guess my whole point is, like, here's what I just keep thinking lately. It's like, if you believe something, like, I'm a Christian, I believe what Christ has revealed to us, and I would basically this is going to just, I know the optics of this suck, but I would do like whatever it takes to keep believing it to some extent. And also, like, within the bounds of Christianity itself, right? You could go outside of the bounds to try to accomplish this, but I would do most anything to encourage or help others believe that as well, especially like my kids. And I think a big part of that education, back to that, is just saying, this is the truth. Why is that the truth? Why do you believe that? That's the real trick. And that's where like all of this kind of like the messiness of rhetoric and the messiness of debate and the messiness of it's all this big scramble to try to get to somebody else what you know, like that you really, and there's all kinds of ways that this can go south. Like if you've got some hobby horse that you've got to defend, or something that gives you some selfish gratification, and you have to beat that over somebody's head. There's all kinds of ways that this could go south. But I really think more and more lately that if you got a belief, you protect it in yourself and you give it to others as best as you can.
I love how there was some like it got noisy in Mark's thing, and so he just like covered his camera. I don't think that's how sound works, Mark. But oh, yeah, that was good. I don't, and maybe just so two things, and then I want to probably start doing final words. Scott, you were right when you came in and started talking. You got a lot of love, just like Brett. I love Scott. Scott is the man. And what I feel like too is I looked this up because like when you're talking, I feel like when I talk, I'm just like, I was like, this is me up here, and this is just Brad over here, where you're just like, or Scott, sorry, where you're just saying like, because it really is like at the end of the day, that bell curve meme, I've thought about this so much in simple, like for a Christian or something, you just be like, Jesus loves me, this I know. You could say, for the Bible tells me so, or because my parents tell me so, or anything. And like that's the same thing as the sage, It's just like it's not. You can make it really complicated in the middle, and I suppose that's fine. And maybe that's a necessary step for a lot of people. And for whatever reason, that's a lot of the way that my mind just goes, and largely that could be a distraction. I was thinking that the other day. I'm like, maybe because even in the East, theology is just being holy, but like most intellectual theology is maybe just like a complete waste of time.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Could be worship.
I would.
I mean, if you have to go through it, you have to go through it. I'm just saying like, so like in that sense, in the personal sense, if you want to do it, what? You got something? You got to eat? You're eating?
I was just thinking it's eating the fruit of the tree to some extent. I mean, there are people that it does seem they can just follow God, like they're not thinking about all the reasons why they should or shouldn't do X or Y. They're just like, obviously this is pleasing to God, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to go around and do final words. Scott, what you were saying about your son is very helpful for me. Maybe somewhere down the road we can connect and talk about it more, even privately or off camera or something. Because a lot of the details of that stuff, I mean, I'm only ever going to talk about my kids and family kind of generically online. But that is true, because it's a very letting go, I think, as a parent. It's just such a you hit all these different realms and times in your life where like there's all this. One of the simple low side of the bell curve memes that like my old evangelical church used to say, it's like head knowledge and heart knowledge, and you can know all these things in your head, but until you like walk through it, you just don't get it. So you can say like, oh, you got to let your kids go, you got to let them make mistakes. This is what all these people that are older than me are saying, and I'm just like, and I'm just fighting that like crazy. Right now, because
It's okay.
Because I just don't want to do it. Because in a lot of sense, like I can't even. We have this little like digital picture thing, or he's going to be graduating. So now my wife's been going through pictures for like graduation stuff, and there's all these little pictures, and I like see all these little images of him as just like a little boy. And that aspect is always in us, just like this sweet little boy. And you just like know they're gonna, and then you see certain patterns in their life where you're just like, as a parent, this scares the hell out of me. Like, I don't think this is good for you. And then I'll talk to like all my younger friends about it, and they're like, it just sounds like he's a teenager. And like for me, it feels scary. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's easy for you to say. Like, wait till you have a kid who's at this phase of life, and you're just like, this could ruin your life.
It could, but it could also grow it in ways that you can't even imagine. I mean, just think of your own life. I mean, I know that some of the most impactful things that have happened to me were a direct result of me making mistakes, and oftentimes very bad mistakes. And as much, and to your point, my heart breaks thinking about what that cost could be for him, but I also don't want to make him so that he's so sheltered that, you know what I mean? He's impotent in the world.
Okay, guys, put your hand up if you've done something in your life that almost killed you.
Mitch, you don't have to do it just to fit in. Mitch, you've been
I got in the car. I had to overthink it, but yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's it. And I know, if my parents knew what I was doing, they would be, they would have tried to screw the window shut. Oh wait, they did that.
Oh, my parents knew better, and it was just such a different atmosphere. We've tried to be pretty free with that stuff. Like my son, I've talked about this, he likes to go out and he does like urban exploring, where he's been like down in the sewers, underground stuff under Minneapolis somewhere, where he's just like, I'm sure, meeting drug addicts and stuff. And I was like, cool. He goes and climbs billboards and things and towers all the time. And I'm like, yeah, that's all great. That's fine. And like, none of my kids have like issues with drugs and alcohol and any of that stuff. Like, I'm, in a sense, like they hear stories of me and my childhood, and they're more just like I was a wild boy compared to my kids. And so that's all good and fine. It's more, I have more of like, and maybe this is projection, like TLC kind of meaning crisis kind of stuff. Like, I don't want him to be just like stuck on his phone or playing video games. It's like the opportunity cost kind of stuff of like, I want to be going out and killing it and finding an awesome woman and getting her pregnant at 19. That's what I want him to be doing.
I cannot wait to be a grandfather. I already got my name picked out. It's going to be Pops.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think I need that in my life. I think I need little pitter patters running around that I'm not, primarily responsible for.
Yeah.
And the smiles, the laughs. Oh,
here you go.
So much. Yeah. So yeah, no, I hear that.
All right, last words, Mitch. Give us some, Mitch and Mark. Anybody, you got some wisdoms?
Got some wisdoms. Hey, just believe, man. You can do it.
Okay. Also, I want to plug here. One more plug. I like to plug things. Let's do this. Mad Gleams, at Mad Gleams. Look at that. That's the handle. That's easy to remember. That's Ezra's channel. I'm going to go check it out.
Oh.
Also, I want to say too, McMo, if anybody ever gets the privilege of getting a McMo Discord invite, and I'm no expert of DJing and stuff, but like some of his transitions and stuff, for the little that I listened in, I was just like, that's fun. Like, that's good stuff. Like, I'm enough of a music dork to be like, good work. So, okay, that's my last word, is go check out Mad Gleams. And Mitch, on Christian nihilism, on your last almond tree stream, you talked about that quite a bit. If anybody wants a little primer. Mark, any words?
How long have I got?
I mean, I don't know. Couple minutes. How long
Couple
do you
of
need?
minutes. Maybe 5.
Okay.
Okay, so going back to the Trinity. But before we get to the Trinity, how do you pictorially represent a whole indivisible unity?
Are you wanting answers to that?
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, there's lots of ways people have tried to illustrate it.
Okay, I'll give you a clue.
Oh, yeah, the circle
A
or the
circle.
spiral. Yeah.
And so we're told that man is made in God's image. So if God can be described as a circle, then man can be described as a circle. And then we're told that God is a whole indivisible unity composed of three aspects, which already freaks out scientists, because how does that even work? But we can describe man as a whole indivisible unity composed of three aspects. So now we have a circle with a triangle inside. Yeah? You with me? Cool. So then what do the corners represent? And in the Enneagram model, you have body on top, you have heart on the right, and you have, I don't know if I'm getting mirrored on the camera, you have head on the left. And I know in the model you use the word gut, but get down, kitty. Sorry. So one model of man is this trinity of head, heart, and body. I just wanted to share that as an introduction to the Enneagram. Now, how do I say this? So each of the corners of the triangles, so you have body at the top, but you also have each corner divided into three. So you have body at the top, you have body, heart next. On the other side, you have body, mind. And these are the dominant characteristics of that particular point on the Enneagram. And then if you do 3 times 3, you get 9 points. Hence Enneagram, 9-sided. And so that's, as I understand it, that's where the model comes from. Did you see my chat with Neil about Neil Daedalus about personality and the wall in the garden?
I'm sure I did. I don't necessarily know that I remember particularities about it. I watch all the corner content basically, and so there's a lot.
God damn it, I was too boring.
Well, you know, there's a lot. I don't know that that was necessarily it. It could be a lot of things. It could be that I was doing something else while I did it, or I was distracted, or who knows.
So I basically produced this model of the wall in the garden, much like the Garden of Eden, which is a wall in a garden, and God walked in the garden, and blah, blah, blah. So the Enneagram model isn't a personality model. It's an essence model. The circle around the outside being the wall, and the stuff inside being the garden. Where's I going with this? It's dropped from me, damn it. Damn it, I was going to say one more thing. No, it's gone. Sorry. We'll pick it up next time.
All right. Well, and I'll have to, I'm getting private texts and things during this. I'll have to go back and watch the end of this again. I'll try to put all the links to conversations that I referenced in the description. Mitch's conversation with, I'll put, if I can remember, I'll put yours with Neil in there, Mitch's with Jason Almond Tree, because that's a good Christian nihilism primer. The Pete Holmes link. What else did I play? We'll figure it out. Anyhow, thank you guys for coming.
Can I just quickly say,
yep.
Very nice to meet you, Mitch.
You too, sir.
Good to meet Scott as well.
Oops. All right, yeah. Let me see. I'll do a branding on the way out. And thanks for coming, kids. What do we got? What do we want? What's the last?
Meow meow.
That's like the meow is good, but it doesn't like take me off screen.
Love you guys. Laters.
That's all. It's gonna do it again.